How do you generate your cash? From whom do you take your cash? This all we call it as capital structure. Rising of fund, allocation of fund, profit planning, understanding capital market. These four we call it as role of financial management. Hello everyone, I am your Adarsh sir, lecturing Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. So we are in the topic called your financial management. Under financial management, we are doing session 2. In session 2, we are talking about introduction about financial management. Now, in the first session, we discussed about the basics, like what is your financial management, a small story about financial management, the goals of financial management like wealth maximization as well as profit maximization. So what we will discuss in today's session. So these are the topics we are going to discuss in today's session. The agenda will be very simple: objectives, functions, as well as role of financial manager. Role of financial manager. Now, the first part will be objectives. What is the first part? Objectives. Now, under objectives, what we are going to learn next? Under functions, what we are going to learn? And the last and the best part is role of financial manager. First one, objectives of financial management. We'll go in detail what will be objectives of financial management. Now, in this few things, I'll make a box so that you should remember those points. In your examination also, while writing, sentence may be in any format, but that particular word should be there in your answer. Now, what will be the objective? To ensure regular and adequate supply of fund to the concern. Regular and adequate supply. Now, you are a financial manager, or else you are doing financial management. Whenever the company need money, whenever the company required fund, so you must be able to give that support. Like, for example, you are running a company. Under that company, you have to purchase raw materials. You have to pay wages to your laborers. You have to pay for some machineries. You have to pay for fuel charges, electricity, or some kind of expenses. If raw material available at cheaper, you will go for huge quantity. So, for everything, you should reserve some cash. Some emergency, something happened to some labor, you have to meet his medical expenses. For these things, you should have proper fund. That is nothing but regular and adequate supply of fund. That is your point number 1. Second one, to ensure adequate returns. Now, to shareholders. What is adequate returns to shareholders? Now, your investment is 10 lakh. Out of 10 lakh, 7 lakh you have taken from shareholder. Now, how much you have taken from outsiders like shareholders? You have taken 7 lakh from equity or else preference shareholders. Now, whatever the investment like 7 lakh you made, whatever 7 lakh we spoke about, this 7 lakh, every year whenever you got profit, some portion has to be given to shareholders. Every year you have to pay them dividend. Every year you have to pay them bonus if it is available. So all the benefits has to be given to shareholders. These are nothing but adequate returns to the shareholders. If you give adequate returns, the investors will be many they are interested in investing in your company. Why? Because the benefits and returns will be more. Next, to ensure optimum funds utilization. Optimum utilization of fund, like you have invested, you earned profit of around rupees 1 lakh. Now, what you will do that 1 lakh? Now, that 1 lakh will be given to the concerned persons. Like that 1 lakh has to be paid, like whatever salary outstanding, whatever the dues are pending, how much has to be paid to the creditors, everything has to be paid properly in the priority basis. If you are taken loan from outsiders, bank, and your friends and your family, first you have to pay to the bank, later outsiders, then to your friends, then to your family. In the same order, you have to manage your finance. That is called optimum fund utilization. Very important. Optimum fund utilization. Next, to ensure safety on investment. Whatever investment you made, you must have safety. Like you have 1 lakh rupees, will you spend complete 1 lakh in the stock market? The answer is no. Out of 1 lakh, 20 or 30,000 you will invest in stock market. Balance 70 or 80,000 you will invest in bank as a deposit. Why? Because that 80,000 is fixed. You will not lose even 1 rupee also, but you will get interest. But in stock market, 20,000 may become 40,000, but 20,000 may become zero also. Any chances are there. This is called ensure safety on investment. Hope you understood. Now, should be invested in safe. Next, ventures so that adequate rate of return can be achieved. So it is not that complete 1 lakh has to be invested in bank. Why? Because it is safer. But what will be your returns? Per year you may get for 1 lakh 4 or 5,000. So you have to think about the returns also. You have to spend in some business which is guaranteed income where the risk is less. Like mutual fund compared to your stock market, your mutual fund returns are less, but risk also less. So similarly, you have to manage these financial things. Then, to plan sound capital structure. So what do you mean by capital structure? Like you need 1 lakh. You have three options. Like you have equity shares, you have preference shares, you have debentures. You should take 1 lakh from whom? You should go for equity shareholders, you should go for preference shareholders, or else you should go for debenture holders, whom you will prefer. Now, if you go for equity shareholder, they will become a owners of the company. They will be benefited more. If you collect from preference shareholders, you have to pay fixed dividend every month or every annum. Now, if you go for debenture, you have to pay them fixed interest. Even though your company is in loss, you have to pay them interest. So, these are the consequences. Everything you have to keep it in your mind and you have to plan your capital structure. This is only called as capital structure. How do you generate your cash? From whom do you take your cash? This is all we call it as capital structure. Hope you understood. Now, once it is done, there should be sound and fair composition of capital so that balance is maintained between debt and equity capital. Clear? Good. So, this is all about your objectives. Good. We'll go for the next one. Functions of financial management. Now, so what are the functions of financial management? Now, very simple. There are few functions are there which are called as your financial management functions. Now, estimation of capital requirement. Now, how many points are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll learn it as a story so that easy to remember. You will not forget only the function. Listen to this story, very small. Now, estimation of capital requirement, like you're now around 18, 19 or 20 years old now. You want to start a new venture or business. Now, maybe some telemarketing or something you have started. Now, what you will do? So, capital requirement. If you want to start a new venture or business, how much capital is required? How much investment is required? You did research, planning, everything, investigation, everything you have done. So finally you got to know you need 5 lakh rupees. How much you need? You need 5 lakh rupees to start a business. So this is called your estimation of capital requirement. Now, your planning, everything is done. You got to know how much is required. Then, capital composition, determination of capital composition. Now you got that you need 5 lakh. How do you get that 5 lakh? You planned like 2 lakh from your parents, 2 lakh from shareholders, some 1 lakh from your own money. Total you have invested 5 lakh. This is nothing but your capital composition. Clear? So 2 lakh from your parents, 2 lakh from as a shareholders public, and 1 lakh your own money. We call it as retained earning. Now, so 5 lakh is done. Once you're done with your composition, then choice of sources of fund. Whatever 2 lakh from parents, maybe it is for long term. Whatever shareholders you have to pay it soon, this may be short term. This is called sources of fund. It may be long term sources of fund, or else it may be short term sources of fund. Under long term we get many, under short term we get many kinds of sources of fund. We will discuss later in the next slide. Here is only a basic example. Now, under sources of fund, we have like short term, long term, and medium term, like that. So, these are called as sources of fund. Up to 3, any doubt? First, you plan how much capital required. Then you plan how can I collect. Then you plan like whether it is a short term or long term. Then, once if it is done, investment of fund. You have planned, you collected, sources also you know. Now, where to invest? As you told, you have started telemarketing. For that, you want system, you want designer, you want designing application, software, you want furniture, you want one office. So, that 5 lakh is invested. Investment of fund. Clear? Yes. These out of 5 lakh, 4 lakh you have invested. 1 lakh you as keep it as emergency fund. Clear? Up to this you have understood the story. 1, 2, 3, 4 points are done. Next, fifth point, disposal of surplus. You have started your business 1 year over and you are in profit. You are in profit. Now, what will you do your profit? You will distribute to, you will give some amount to your parents. You will give some amount to the shareholders. You will keep it some money. You will keep something as reserve, like capital reserve or general reserve. You will invest in some investment plans. Like these are called as disposal of funds. Clear? Now, all the investment part, everything is over. Still, you are left out with 50,000. What you have to do? Management of cash. You have to manage the cash. This 50,000 for raw material. This 50,000 for emergency. This 50,000 for next month rent. This 50,000 salary for next 3 months. Everything you have to plan. That is nothing but management of cash. Now, the last but not the least is called as financial control. Whatever you have did, we call it as financial control. Like you are purchasing raw material from your friend. It is around 1.5 lakh. The better quality it is available for 1 lakh. Then what you should do? You have to stop purchasing from your friend, you have to go to that outsider. Why? Because you can save 50,000 along with the capital, the quality also better compared to your friend shop quantity. Now, so these are the things are called as functions of financial management. Hope you understood. Clear? Yes. Now again we'll recheck the story. Now you need 55 lakh rupees. You planned capital requirement. From where you can take? From your dad, shareholder, and your own money. That is called capital composition. Then, whether it is a long term or short term, sources of fund. You have invested, investment of fund. You have whatever profit you got, you distributed, disposal of surplus, then everything you manage the cash, management of cash, finally you controlled. So financial controls. Clear? So this is a small story to remember this point. This is all about your functions of financial management. Hope you understood. The last part will be role of financial manager. Now we're done with financial management. Now under financial management, who is the topmost person, who is the in charge, so who will be responsible for all these activities? He is none other than financial manager. Financial manager is responsible for these things. Now role of financial manager, what are his roles? Like raising of fund, allocation of fund, profit planning, understanding capital market. These four we call it as role of financial management. Now in this rising of fund, so whatever we have planned, we want money, how to rise, where to rise, so when to rise, everything will be managed by whom? Financial manager. Done. Next, once you are collected, later what we should do? We should distribute. That is called allocation of fund. Whether it should be in business, in house, or wherever it has to be allocated, has to be done properly. Profit planning, where if I invest, I'll get profit. That is nothing but profit planning. And the last part will be understanding capital market. So if you understood the capital market, it is easy go to collect profit. This is all about your role of financial manager. Very simple. It may be your 5 marks question. These points you remember. Explanation, I'll give you notes for that. So I'll show you all the slides. If you want, you can take screenshot. This will be your agenda. This will be your objectives. These are your functions. Your role of financial manager. So this is all about your today's session. So we're done with your today's session, and in the next session, the most important thing, most important concept, it is nothing but sources of finance. As per my knowledge, if you see last 10 or 12 question papers, out of 12 question paper, all 12 question paper you have that question, sources of finance, like long-term, short-term sources of finance. So please attend your session 3. Why? Because it is very important. Once we're done with session 3, the rest of the things are completely practical oriented. It will be easy as well as you can score better. Thank you.